My name's Adelle Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 309 of Legally Clueless. Thank you so much for working with the podcast. OG members, I've got nothing but love for you. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome to the fam. Better late than never. Audio episodes like this go out every single Monday, and this is what is coming up in this episode.
What happens, Maseno has branches, right? There's the main campus, which is in Luanda, and there's a Kisumu branch campus. He was taken to Kisumu branch campus, and I was in the main branch, which is in Luanda. So I would come all the way to Kisumu just to be with him for like a week. I know you're missing out on classes, but I'm there. I'm excited. Let me say, I think I was also there because the sex was good, and I'm just going to be frank about it. But no, the problem was that it was good, but we weren't using protection. I had to get myself on the pill so that I wouldn't get pregnant. By March, there were rumors that he is actively in another relationship. Do you know a situation where you can't tell if you're the side chick or the main chick?
So I hope you're doing great. I am back from my birthday weekend. I'm 10 shades darker because I just sat by the pool all day, just like reading this wonderful book called My Sister the Serial Killer. It's so good. But other than that, I am just so relaxed. It was a wonderful birthday getaway. I think I'm going to make it a routine to spend every birthday on a solo trip at a pool in the middle of nowhere. Thank you so much for the birthday messages I got from our weekly newsletter. I love you so much, and I truly appreciate this space. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, please head over to our website, legallycluelessafrica.com. Sign up and you will get messages from me every Wednesday. So I want to share two things before we jump into Diana Ross's story. The first is super exciting, super nerve-wracking as well. My movie is premiering and you are invited. So in case you don't know, although I think I didn't mention it as soon as I started this journey on the podcast because I tell you everything, but in case you've forgotten, since December 2023, I have been working on my debut film. This is my first film ever. And it all started in a writer's room with 6 other pretty established professionals in Kenya. Some have written entire series. Some were dialing into the writer's room from like film festivals abroad. And I was just like, whoa, what am I doing here? I think I told you about the imposter syndrome I was experiencing. But in that writer's room, I wrote a short poetry film script, and the film is called Home. Now, what would happen is after all of us wrote our scripts, the funders would then go ahead to pick which scripts they would fund to production. And mine was one of the scripts picked. And so we started pre-production early last year, 2024. And then in August, we shot the film. And now we are ready to share the film with you on the 21st of February at 5 p.m. at Shalom House Gardens in Nairobi. I'm so excited to share this film with the world because it is for every African woman and African girl who wants to truly feel at home in her body. The organization that I did this film with, they're called DocuBox. They actually started screening the film in a few schools in Kitale, which is an area in Kenya, and about 2,900 African girlies have already watched the film, and the feedback I got was that they were so inspired. They had so much to share, so much introspection. After the film, some of them were like, man, we're praying to have more self-esteem. And I was like, yes! It's doing what I wanted it to do, you know? And I always wanted to take my poetry on the road. And it's happening. It actually is happening. So I think we have created something powerful, and I'd love you to come watch it and share your thoughts about it with me afterwards. So grab your tickets. Advance tickets are just 1,000 bob, and I've put a link to where you can get them in the show notes. It's limited numbers, so yeah, get your tickets quick, fast. The second thing I want to share is also great news because you know how much I love therapy. Group therapy here at Legally Clueless is back. And, you know, you and I meet twice a week via our podcasts, but it would be nice if we take another step forward in our healing journey. And so what we've done is teamed up with Shamiri Health. They're an organization making resources like therapy more accessible and affordable for you and I. And they also help connect us Africans with incredible, professional, accredited, registered African therapists, right? And so we have our first group therapy cohort ready to go, and you just need to book your slot. And how we're doing it this time is it's 3 sessions, okay? So a 3-part group therapy session on 3 different dates. The first one is on the 1st of March. The second one is on the 5th of April, and the third is on the 3rd of May. All right. So when you sign up and book your slot for this group therapy, you're signing up and committing to come to all 3 sessions. And I really, really think this could be that thing that changes your life for the better. Trust me, because what we're looking at across these 3 sessions is how can we give you the tools so that you can arrive in a healthier way in intimate relationships. These relationships matter to us, especially if you've chosen to venture out into the world of looking for a partner. These relationships matter to you, and you want them to be healthy, you want them to last, you want them to be fruitful. And we want to make sure that you do what you can and have the tools to ensure that happens. So we're going to be looking at attachment styles, red flags, building healthy boundaries, healing past trauma. Whew, that part, that affects our intimate relationships and so much more. Obviously, it's going to be guided by clinical and counseling therapists. And in total, the 3 sessions will cost 3,000 bob. And you can book your slot right now on Hustle Sasa. Head over to the show notes. There's a link for you to grab your tickets. Last week, we had quite a few people booking their slots. And since it's group therapy, we have limited slots. So grab yours nice and early and really consider taking this journey with us. And as usual, I love attending all our group therapy sessions because I think it's pretty magical for you and I to be walking this healing journey together. So book your slot ASAP. All right, let's jump into 100 African stories. In this episode, Diana shares her story about a mother wound, an ectopic pregnancy, and a pretty toxic relationship. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Diana Rose Orare. My story begins in Kisumu. I was born in Kisumu. I'm the firstborn of 3 girls. My sisters are my best friends. We grew up, well, I can't say we were well off exactly, but we were like a middle class kind of family. My mom was majorly like the breadwinner. My mom is a teacher, so she was like the breadwinner. My dad was a driver. So he didn't have work most of the time. It was in and out, in and out. And he was the one who used to take care of us. And so when I talk about love, it comes from my dad because he's a very soft man. He's very calm, very affectionate. He's the type of man who are very open. You know, when we talk about a man, then you know, the society, the kind of norm is that a man is tough, a man is, hardy, but mine wasn't. Mine was very soft. And owing to the fact that I was the firstborn, it was like all the love he had to give was poured into me. Now, because of that, and I think it's also something in psychology, my mom was the breadwinner now. I think that was how my mom now, I think the roles in the house now got reversed. Now my mom was the hardy one. My mom was the tough one. My mom was the disciplinarian. My mom was strict. My mom was harsh. And, when your mother is that harsh, it kind of creates a void with me anyway. I guess that is where now my issue with affection started, because I was close to my dad, but I wasn't close to my mom. And my mom was the type of person who was like, I provide food, I provide a roof over your head, I provide clothes. What do you mean you want love? What do you mean you want love? That was what it was always about growing up. It was like, if I have done something wrong, it is like my dad was like, achana na mtoto. My mom was like, you're cuddling this one. You're running to your mom and you're like, mommy, and she was like, I don't have time for this. And my mom was also trying to improve herself. And I applaud her for that, because my mom has a master's actually. She has studied, so climbed the ladder. Right now, she's actually a deputy principal. And I applaud her for that. I mean, she's what I aspire to be, but it came at a cost. It came at a cost of us having a relationship with her. Because there were nights, I think at that time, University of Nairobi was offering school-based education. She was doing that, I think, around 2000. She was doing school-based education, where during the normal school days she was studying, and then during the holidays she studied at University of Nairobi. So during the holidays she was traveling to University of Nairobi to do her exams. So holidays we don't see her. Normal school days you also don't see her, because she's at work. When she comes back in the evening, she's studying. So you see, that rift is, the more we are growing, the more the rift is continuing. We're not having that interaction. And by the time I got to class 6, because backstory, I was in public school. I started out in public school, area. Shout out to Area Primary. I started from there. By class 5, I can't say I was the brightest, but I was trying. I was like top 10, top 20 at times. So by the time I got to class 6, she was like, I see potential. Let me shift you to private school. I was then shifted to Golden Elites. That's where my problem started. Because when I went to Golden Elites, a private school set up during that time, we had the thing, it's called drilling, where it's not, you're not being taught, you're actually just being drilled so that you can pass exams, get the highest grade, move. So Monday to Sunday, we were in school. Monday to Sunday, we were in school. Monday to Sunday, we were in school. And the periods that I wasn't in school, something actually happened during the periods that I wasn't in school. One day, I was sent to the posho mill. And I don't know, sometimes I blame myself. I blame myself because of this. I went to a private school, and one parent had one source of income. That's one parent, one source of income. But she still, I'm not saying that I didn't love being in a private school, but it was one source of income. So I didn't get to have like snacks. You know how people in private schools are. They have snacks, they have money, so I didn't have those. So this time that I was in the posho mill, when it took my maize to be grinded, what had happened was the man who was supposed to do that put my bag, the last one, like the last batch. And when it was my turn, stopped like the grinding process, closed the door, and would use his fingers, and then would return my money back to me and tell me, "You're in your break." And I never told anyone. And I never knew how to tell anyone, because I never understood what was happening. But I knew it wasn't wrong, because I would always feel very dirty. And I would run to my mom. Every time I would come back, she always wondered why I would go to the portion meal happy and come back, and I'm trying to like cry to her. I'm like, "Mommy, am I good? Was there something wrong with me?" I'm like, "Is there?" And that is a question I still ask myself until today, even in relationships. Because when someone leaves, I usually feel like, am I good enough? Was I not good enough at that particular point? What did I not do? What did you not tell me to do that I did not do that made you want to leave me? And so it happened class 6. It happened all through class 7. By class 8, we had moved homes. So I put that back banner at the back of my head. But you see, our relationship with my mom was bad. With my dad, there are things you really can't tell your dad as much as you're close with your father. There are things you just can't say. There are wounds you just can't open up to a man, because it's like, a man has already done this to me. Maybe you won't understand. So I shut it out, went to high school, and it actually affected me. Didn't even get the marks that I thought I was going to get, but I passed. I went to Nyaburu Girls. At that time, it was a national school. And when you think the relationship couldn't get worse, it got worse. Because now my grandmother used to be the school nurse for Nyaburu Girls at that time. And every holiday, instead of going back home, I'd always go and stay with my grandmother instead of in Kisii, actually. Because I'm Kisii, so that's where I used to stay now. In high school, most of the time, I used to go stay with my grandmother for the holidays. I think the only time I'd come back to Kisumu was December holidays and spend some time with them, then go back, stay with my grandmother, then go back to school. So during that time, I wasn't performing as well, because it was like, I feel like all those things would resurface when I was in school, because I'm trying to please my mom by getting good grades, but it's not working. It's like I'm not grasping anything. And I was really good by that. I was really good in languages, but I was never the best in sciences. And so I would fail in sciences, and it would be a whole spectacle. I remember there was a time my mom made a comment, and I know parents usually make these comments offhandedly without knowing the repercussions. And not only her, but also my grandparents. These grandparents are actually my mom's parents. When I talk about my grandparents, I mean my mom's parents. My father's parents died, sadly. So when in the later conversations, my grandparents are my mom's parents. So my mother came to school one day, saw my marks, and she was like, any balance ya fee ama? Because it was last. It was like among the last. So it was like 300 and something. So it was like, any balance ya fee? It's like 300 something balance ya fee. And I'm like, no, mommy. Then wewe ni number last. And I'm like, yeah, mom, I am. And she's like, nalipia ng'ombe fee. And that was Form 1 actually. But I tried, I passed, went to Form 2, and built by a thin margin. It was like, if the pass mark is 72, I got that 72. I went to Form 2. Now, Form 2, I dropped. It was like a C plus of 72 all the way to a D. And I was so scared of going back home, because I was like, what am I going to tell my mom? So I said I was just going to stay with my grandparents. When I took my results slip to my grandparents, my grandmother didn't say anything. It's like, we nishakuzoea. Anguko kitaka. But there's one thing my grandfather said that still hurts me today. And sometimes I pray to God to take it away, but it's still a wound that is there. My grandfather said, mimi ni mjinga kama baba yangu. I am as stupid as my father. It was a dig at my relationship with my father. It was a dig at my existence. Because I'm here, I'm like, I am a product of two people. I am a product of your child, who is my mother, and I'm a product of someone else's son, who is my father. And because I so happen to have this kind of relationship that I have, it's a beautiful relationship I have with my father. I have been striving to have the same kind of relationship with my mother. Trust me, I did. I tried. There isn't anything I didn't do. In fact, during high school period, that was the time I tried everything. In high school, you have speakers. School speakers would come with like books and these cards. I would buy them. I would even buy chocolates and take to my mother during, school breaks, half terms, because half terms is when I used to like going back home. And instead of saying thank you, it was like, hapa no mahali pocket money yako inaenda, you can't do something good with it. And I'm like, there are people buying bread in school with their pocket money. People are buying snacks in school with their pocket money. I saved mine to buy you a gift, and I wrote a heartfelt note, and I'm telling you how much I love you, and I'm not I'm not savvy in saving. This is me saving because I saved to get you this gift. I saved myself from that. So it was always, every time I tried there was a war. Every time I tried there was a war. And this war just kept on increasing with as time goes by. This war just kept on increasing as time goes by, and I'm like, I'm done. By the time I was finishing high school, I was done. It was like, I've tried. I was like, God, I have tried. I have prayed for a relationship with my mom. I have prayed for a relationship, like any semblance of any kind of relationship, just a bit of warmth from her. It's not coming, and it's okay. I have given up. Your timing is the right time. And I was like, God, do your will.
I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'm so glad that you're part of this family. We're taking a small ad break, but we'll be right back. And now, back to the episode.
But you see, that void is already there. That love is already there. And yes, most people can say, oh, I had my father's love, but it's never going to be the same as a mother's love. People talk about when someone loses a mother, they're an orphan. Because there's a way a mother loves you. There's a way a mother nourishes you. There's a way a mother nurtures. There's a way a mother comforts. There are things that your mother can tell you that hit deep, and there are things that your father can tell you that hit deep, So when that was missing from my life, I started looking for them in all the wrong places. And that's how, because I finished high school early. I actually finished high school by, say, 16, 17 years. I now started looking for love in all the wrong places. All the very wrong places. That was how I got myself into this relationship. I was about to do wonders. Of course, there were other relationships. I'm not going to say that there weren't other relationships. There were other relationships. It was like, I can say, in the pursuit of trying to connect, in the pursuit of wanting to belong, in the pursuit of wanting to be needed, in the pursuit of wanting to be loved, because of the absence of that kind of love I wanted. The absence of that love. There's that love you feel, and you're like, there's an absent love that I'm missing. That was the kind of love. Because I am a firstborn, we tend to nurture. I'm taking care of my siblings. I'm taking care of everyone. I'm like a deputy parent. So you see, it's like, I want to find someone I can love with the intensity that I wanted to love my mom with. And I think that had been the driving force in so many of my relationships. And so I got myself into the first relationship. Didn't work out. Was left within two months. I got myself into another relationship, didn't work out after 3 months. And trust me, that is a pattern. That was the pattern. 2-3 months, I'm left. I don't leave the relationship, I'm left. I'm actually left. So that was my whole of first year, going through in and out of relationships. By second year, first semester, I found someone. Randomly, I had a roommate at that time. This roommate of mine had a friend who came to visit her one day. And so she wasn't in, but I was in. And he was like, I was looking for your roommate. So and so. And I was like, ametoka tu sahi. She has just left. And he was like, oh, I'll come back later. Not 5 minutes go by, and then I see them back again. They're like, we found each other along the gate, came back, sat, and they were having this conversation, and I was just, I think it was, he used to do psychology. I think that was what fascinated me to him, because it's like, oh, what is this psychology? I hear psychology, and as an education student, you're also doing psychology, but there's a field of psychology, and I used to feel so attracted to it. I was like, psychology. So when he was talking about his course and how his course was taking him and whatnot, it was like, but I didn't make the move. I was just from one relationship. I was like, I'm not about to jump into another one and look like, the girls. So I was like, but he did. He made the move, and he was like, can I have your number? And I was like, yeah, sure. Went, and it was, I think, we spoke all the way during the December holidays. And then by the time we were coming back for 2.2 in January of 20, and I remember very clearly, in January of 2017, we were in a full-blown relationship that was moving way too fast for my life. This relationship was moving way too fast for my life because I got to a point I was skipping classes just to be with him. I got to a point I wasn't going to like because psychology. What happens? Maseno has branches, right? There's the main campus which is in Luanda, and there's a Kisumu branch campus. So he was taken to Kisumu branch campus, and I was in the main branch which is in Luanda. So I would come all the way to Kisumu just to be with him for like a week. You know, you're missing out on classes. But I'm there, I'm excited. Let me say, I think I was also there because the sex was good, and I'm just going to be frank about it. I am just going to be real and say, people don't want to talk about it, but let's be honest. There's some things that actually make people stay in relationships. And one of them is that. And it was good. And you see, but now the problem was that it was good, but we weren't using protection. And so I had to get myself on the pill so that I wouldn't get pregnant. You know, you forget to have STDs, STIs, and whatnot, but we fear pregnancy first. Don't do that anymore. But at that time, I had just turned 19. And January, February, it was good. By March, there were rumors that he is actively in another relationship, or he's actively I am. Do you know a situation where you can't tell if you're the side chick or the main chick? That was the situation I was in. Because I didn't know if I was the main chick or the side chick. Because whenever I'd confront him with it, it would be, oh, no, 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 that's just an ex. She's very clingy. She doesn't want to leave me. And I was like, see, you're the man. Put a stop to it. Stop contacting. Stop picking up the phone calls. It got to a point, he would 12 at midnight, he's picking up these phone calls. Remember, I'm not in school. I'm not doing cards. I'm missing cards out here. I, we're in March. We're almost nearing closing of the second semester, and I don't even know what people have been studying in school. And here we are. I'm facing another battle. There's another woman, and you can imagine you're in a state where you think you're the one, and then you're told your world is just shaken a bit when you're told that there's someone else. But this someone else wasn't also the kindest. This someone else was violent. This someone else was not the best. So there were times I would meet them along the road of campus, holding hands. And I would be so dumbfounded, I wouldn't even know what to say. But then again, he would come to my house in the evening, and he would pretend like everything is okay. Like, no, I told you, she's clingy. Like, I'm just trying to appease her. And I'm like, okay. There are times he would come to my place. I usually tell people I'm very, and I think it's all women. I mean, when we talk about intuition, we talk about, that certain things that aid intuition for women. For example, scent. There's a specific scent our men have towards us. When you come with a different scent, I'll know. I'm like, I know. You won't even, men think that, oh, you can be slick about it. You go take a shower, then come. No, it's usually, it starts from your breath. It's like from your breath, even when you're kissing someone, it's there. I can tell. I'm like, you know there's something wrong unless you ate something bad, but it's like, it's distorted. So there are times he would come and I'd smell him and I'd be like, There are times he'd come and he'd have like foundation, girls and makeup. It's like on his shirt. It's like, see, I'm hugging people. When I can't hug people along the road, what friends? Like, it's very specific. It's a very specific pattern, but it's okay. It's a very specific height, but okay, Those are the things he would say just to try and dissuade me. But there was a time this girl came to my door physically to confront me. I was like, this is my man. You're about to ruin a marriage because no, but I was about, it's funny because she said I was about to ruin a marriage. I was like, I didn't even know people were married. Yeah, I'm like, they know I'm in a relationship. I didn't even. So when I talked to him about it, it's like, I told you, see, she's crazy. Not knowing that, he was also portraying the same side of me to the other lady. That we are both crazy. And the one thing I regret was not having the courage to walk up to this girl and ask her, like, what's going on? And I know, yes, she was violent and everything, but I felt like that would have saved me a lot because along the line, that conversation, if I did have the courage, regardless of how violent it would have gotten, that conversation would have saved me from getting an ectopic pregnancy that nearly killed me at 19. Having that conversation would have saved me that. Because by August of 2017, I was one of the clerks for the election process. I was one of the clerks, and it had found that I think we had linked up around June, July. So he had come back to Nairobi. That's where he was from primarily. So he had moved back, and because it's election, I was still in Kisumu. But apparently, by the time I was having the ectopic pregnancy, because they told me it was around 6 weeks, but we're getting there. So after the election, I've done my clerk duties. I've gone home. We're waiting for results announcement. One fine morning, Thursday, I remember 27th August 2017, a friend of my mom had come to visit her. We had made tea. We had drunk. She had just left the house and I collapsed from this sharp pain on my right side. Whew. It was bad. It was bad because that day saw a spiral of a whole other Pandora's box of emotions being opened. That specific day, that Thursday. Because once I collapsed, my sisters had to go back running, calling my mother, come back. Diana's fainted in the house. And she's like, we just from what? Has she poisoned herself? Because I'm just from making tea and everyone has had tea and someone is leaving and I'm collapsing. So, you might think, did someone poison her? She's been, that was the thought that was running through everyone's mind because it was a sharp pain, like stomach area. And that's all I kept on saying, like a sharp pain, stomach area, around 4 or 5 in the evening. And before my parents could even get me to the hospital, because we live in a very remote place in Kisumu, before they could even get me to the hospital, it was a while. It was like 2 hours of agonizing pain.
I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'm so glad that you're part of this family. We're taking a small ad break, but we'll be right back. And now, back to the episode.
I got to the first hospital, though like her blood pressure, it wasn't even like a hospital, it was like more of a dispensary. It was like, this one needs urgent medical care. Take her to the hospital right now. Because my mom is a teacher there, I believe people know there are those insurances affiliated with teachers. So she had to go to one that was specifically tailored for teachers, so that her insurance could work. So we went to the said hospital, and before I could get treatment, that's around like 8. And I'm left on a gurney outside like the front part of the hospital. No one is attending to me, and you're in severe pain. It was so severe, I think I detached. You can be in such an amount of pain that you don't even feel the pain anymore. That was the state that I was in. And all the while I remember, because I'm Catholic and my parents are also Catholic. I remember my mom praying the Hail Mary. And she was saying the Hail Marys, and she was saying the Hail Marys, and she was saying the Hail Marys, and our fathers, a lot of them. And she was like, my daughter can't die. And I was like, it's that serious if my mom is saying I can't die? Because I can't really, I cannot understand what's going on with my body. I know I'm in pain. I know I'm hurting, but I'm not understanding what's happening. I'm like, where is the source of the pain? Like, what is wrong? Indeed, in fact, I even started thinking I might have been poisoned, because it's like, this is just not normal. And why I can say poison is because I'm kissy. So there are those traditions that we usually have. I believe it's there for different people. I mean, we usually believe someone can look at you in a certain way and you can be poisoned. I know it is, but that is it. So I'm there. I'm left there. My blood pressure is dropping. My mom is praying, and I remember praying to God. A very selfish prayer. Very selfish. I told God, I can't die at 19. which is ironic because people die every day. People die every day, and I don't take for granted life. But at that moment, that was my prayer. That was a very selfish prayer. And I was like, God, I can't die at 19. I still have a lot of life to live. I still have a long way to go. God, I can't die. And I can't even die like this. I haven't even seen my father. My mother is here crying. And that's how I was crying to God. I can laugh about it now, but that's literally how I was crying to God that day. I was like, I'm thinking about it's like your life. You know when people tell you your life is flashing, that was what was happening. Because it's like I haven't done anything with my life. I've lived my life. I've just been living, just trying to survive. I can't die like this. By the time a physician is even coming to see me, it's 11. It has been almost 6 hours of agonizing pain, and no painkiller, no nothing. I haven't been given anything to even minimize the pain. I've just been left there. Physician came, asked me where the pain was, didn't even do an ultrasound, just I think pressed my lower abdomen area and was like, have you tried peeing in a pan? I was like, no, I haven't. When I did, actually, it's when they realized there's like blood with the pee, and they called the gynecologist who came and was like, we have to do an ultrasound and see. From the ultrasound, it's like when it was realized that I had ruptured my right fallopian tube, and it was leaking excessively into my uterus, and that was what was actually making the pee have blood in it, and so I was rushed for an emergency surgery. During the surgery, it was realized that it hadn't ruptured that day. It had ruptured a while back, and so my womb was becoming septic. And so first with the option of either totally removing it or like carving it, and then being placed on heavy antibiotics so that I wouldn't lose the ability of being a mom at 19. I don't think at 19 that is something you want to be told, that you are nearly not able to be a mom for the rest of your life. It's not even like, no, you can have a choice of not wanting. No, it was like it was going to be a permanent thing. Like you're not going to be a mom. And motherhood comes in various forms and shapes, and I appreciate it right now. But then it was like, that would have been a permanent no. I mean, now there are chances. I know with good, with good care, but at that point, being told that, and I had the surgery, I didn't even have any counseling even after that, and I'm being told I'm a high risk patient, so I shouldn't even get pregnant moving forward. So if I'm sexually active, I should stop being sexually active regardless. So it's like there are so many things that are being thrown at me from that one particular thing. Now let me take you back to my mother. Remember how she was praying her many Hail Marys? You would think she's going to be concerned, after my surgery. Do you know what she told me after my discharge? Hiyo pesa hata ningenunua shamba. That money that I spent for your hospital bills, I would have bought a plot of land. I had always known I was a disappointment. I just didn't think I was that much of a disappointment. And why were we praying for my life then? Why were we praying for God to heal me? If that is the sentiment that I have offset, like the bills have become so much that the money would have been used. That the money would have been used to buy something else. And I was like, life is that cheap. And I was even calculating with my dad because I was in so much pain after being told that. I was like, that funeral bills wouldn't even cost the amount of money that she's saying, and I would have been lost. I would not be here. How angry is she with me that she can say that? I could never understand. And the person that got me pregnant when I was in the hospital, because I was in the hospital for 7 days before my discharge, the person that got me pregnant, when I texted them that I had been pregnant and then I had an ectopic pregnancy, that was the time they felt they wanted to break up with me. Via text. But do you think that was the lowest low? No. That wasn't even the lowest low. Let me tell you how my my need for affection got me to the lowest of my lows in that relationship. This same relationship here, where someone has broken up with me, when I am undergoing this pain, you can imagine having, because I mean, you had an ectopic pregnancy, and it's not even like there was a child or anything that you can say yes. And I have this scar, and various others relationships after that have been asking, and I'm like, I wish I even had a child to like show for this, because I cannot. It's like, you're just a loose girl. But this relationship, my need for, like I said, before we began this recording, I had said that my need for attachment is very severe. It's like I claw my way into people's lives. Like I want to stay there. I want to be attached to them so much. So it's like an extra hip. So even after he broke up with me via text, I waited until, third year, first semester, because, it's still 2017, around August. And I went back to him, and I literally was on my knees begging him to take me back.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. There is so much that I connected with in this part 1 of Diana's story. The first is, why is it in families the parent who has a healthy parenting style often gets mocked by other adults? In Diana's story, it happens when her grandfather is mocking her loving, present father, right? And my mom would actually get mocked by other adults in our family because they thought she was spoiling my sisters and I. Yet in hindsight, I think she had a very stable, healthy parenting style, I find myself still resenting some of the adults in my family for saying not very nice things about my mom just because she didn't believe in the toxic parenting that's often glorified in many African families, Yeah, I just remember that when Diana was talking about her relationship with her dad. The other thing is, I really love how her story shows how our childhood directly influences our attachment style in relationships. Her going back to this terrible man after he broke up with her while she was literally on her deathbed, And I feel like I had a very similar attachment style. I would forgive anything, just don't abandon me, even in friendships or even like relationships with family. And I really had to sit down and iron out what I like, what needs do I want met in relationships, what can I compromise on, what can I forgive, what can't I forgive, what's a deal breaker. These very important things, that you can find yourself bending when you're moving from trauma. Just putting it out there, these are some of the things we're going to be unpacking in group therapy. So as I said earlier in the episode, book your slot. Like, you would be surprised the things you think are nothing that you experienced in childhood that are having you moving mad in intimate relationships. But I do want to hear from you. What did you connect with? Make sure you drop a comment on whatever platform you are listening to this episode on. Part 2 of the story goes out next Monday, so make sure you subscribe on this platform you're listening to this podcast on. Subscribe to our page so that you don't miss any of our episodes. And last but definitely not least, thank you so much for being part of this family. I appreciate you, and I believe you have everything it takes to heal. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.